Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Dexter House, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And as Brian says, it's a slightly strange setting in these austere times, but maybe we can find some stash somewhere. I wanted to take this opportunity to just say a little bit about the digital journey that I feel I've been on for some time now, and how that's evolved, and then to relate that to some of the things I've done with colleagues in Socitm over the last year to try and change the shape and the emphasis of what Socitm does to support us better on the things that are most important to us. So, there we go. Should have done that before. Interesting Socitm logo. So, many of us will remember back 2001, the heady times of the Audit Commission and BVPI 157, and the drive for 100% of services online, which and we'll remember the reality of that as well, which was a race to tick the box, and to be the first authority to be able to tick the box, and who could do it in 12 months, who could do it in 18 months. And really it bore very little resemblance to what we know today of our challenges. It was about getting some sort of presence for all of our identified non-exception services onto our websites, so that we could say there was something there. But it wasn't deeply embedded. It was often a PDF form, and the PDF form created an email that sent back into the business, and the business did exactly the same as it did before, and ran around doing the same things. So, but it was the start of our journey of what does it mean to try to deliver services differently and to deliver services online. And there was quite a hiatus then before we got to the point where colleagues in GDS created the phrase for the service standard, digital by default. And I must say, digital by default, in the, not so long ago now, but the early days of our journey in digital was felt very much like just an evolution of that channel shift. It was, you must drive people to take services online at any cost. You must do that. It drives efficiency and drive people down that channel, and that's the way to do things. But very quickly, as we started to do that, I think our thinking about it, our knowledge and understanding of what we needed to do evolved quite quickly, and we moved to digital by design. So it wasn't just a default, it was fundamentally thinking, what did we need to do in the organisation to change that experience of taking services from the business and driving the transactions end to end in the business right the way through. What did we need to change in the business to make that experience more efficient, more appropriate, more able to deliver what it needed to do? And as our thinking evolved, we realised that actually the key thing on this was to not look at the business and see how we could drive that better, but to look from the outside back into the business and really feel, what does that experience feel like? And how does someone navigate our services? And how do we join up the different parts of our services, which fundamentally changes the way that we do business and the way in which we construct our organisations to support that. And I feel that the journey's still got a long way to go, and it still feels quite early stage in the journey. But I think already that, for me, the point we've reached at the moment is that we recognise that in transforming some of those transactions, we have to make some difficult decisions about which ones do we fundamentally rebuild, which things are the key things that make the greatest difference to our customers, the citizens, and which ones give us the greatest opportunity to change the business and make it more efficient. And how do we mesh that into, as we change the business, how do we mesh that into what we've got as a legacy of how we've been organised for such a long time? So how do we create those integrations, those open and collaborative links, and how do we join the business up as it evolves? So it's really, for me, a case of taking these new jigsaw pieces and fitting them into our existing business and transforming as we go. And that drives a number of questions for me. And I suppose the first question is, so what is the platform we're trying to build? What are those foundation stones that we're trying to create to allow us to do this differently? And I must just refer, because one of those foundation stones is cloud and moving services that have traditionally been in-house, moving them to the cloud. And we worked with Civica to support us in doing an IT trends survey specifically on what does the cloud mean for us and what do we think about it. And I just received this morning a couple of key points from that survey. Of all the significant conversations concerning moving into the cloud, 50% began within the business areas, not IT. I think it's quite important to realise that business is driving some of these things, and the business is becoming much more understanding and intelligent about the options. And in terms of risks associated with cloud, IT generally associates the risk with action going into the cloud, whereas the business generally associates the risk with inaction not going into the cloud. So we've got a disconnect there already, and a tension, which I think is good and healthy, and it drives innovation and change. That survey is available at the conference today on the Socitm stand, just by the registration desk. Do go and help yourself to a copy if you want. There's some really interesting facts and analysis on cloud there. There's a number of questions. How do we identify the key processes that will make the greatest amount of difference, and where should we start first in improving that end-to-end journey? How do we decide which applications we fundamentally need to change, and which applications for the time being can remain and fit into that jigsaw? How do we change our skill set available to enable us to do that more customer-centric, agile design from an environment where we've tended to do a very different, more waterfall, structured approach to development? And do we build the solution ourselves? Do we buy in a solution that fits as best it can? Or do we source and reuse things that our neighbours have already developed that are perfectly fit for purpose and fit into a particular thing we're trying to do? They're all quite complicated questions. And we've been thinking about these over the last year, all of us now, because we're all tackling the same issues. And I'd like to think, and I firmly believe, that Socitm's greatest value is in being allowing us to collaborate as a community, to share our experiences and our knowledge, to peer network, to look at best practice and case studies and understand how we can tackle these issues, and also to use Socitm as a representative body to tackle those difficult problems and to lobby on our behalf. So what I've spent time with the colleagues in Socitm, with the presidential team, with the board, is really looking at how we can reshape Socitm to be as supportive as possible for what it is we're trying to achieve. Now, I'd just like to take you through some of those changes so to get a better feel and understanding for what we've been doing. So the first thing to say is that, and I have no idea where the headings are gone on this, but we won't worry about that. Just imagine there's a wonderful heading up there that says membership. First thing is, over the last 12 months, membership for Socitm has risen by 35%. That's the greatest ever rise we've ever seen. It just shows how much greater peer network we have available. And that's been driven in a large part by a very recent initiative, which is to create a corporate membership scheme. So 1/5 of all councils across the UK now have signed up to corporate membership scheme. That enables us to package together the membership we've got, the insights, the attendance at a conference, and the various components that we spend on Socitm at the moment into a way that allows us to make access to all of those services to a much wider number of people in our organisations, so that we give value across a larger number of people. And you'll see on the right-hand side the range of different senior staff that now get involved with Socitm. That's changed quite a bit from perhaps where it was 2 or 3 years ago. And we're shaping that corporate membership proposition at the moment to the different types of members we've got. So a particular one for third sector, for situations where we have a shared head of IT or a shared ICT service across multiple organisations, to our private sector partners, and to health, police, fire, etc., the different types of sector membership that we have. We've also I thank you all for participating in the my Socitm President's survey, where I asked the question of what was it you really wanted from the society? What did you need from us as a society? And you really helped us to define those 4 key benefit areas that were most important to you: professional development, peer support, sector representation, and research and improvement. And we've started the journey. Well, we've been changing the society quite a lot to support those things. And today we're launching a new Socitm website, because I know you all know and love our wonderful website, because it's a perfect example of digital engineering. But I'd like to think that we're taking some of our own medicine now, and we have a new beta.socitm.net. I'd really encourage you to go onto that, sign into that, and give us your feedback, because we want to develop that, particularly over the next 2 months, to get your input as to how we can develop that and make it most useful to you. But that's really now designing not just the website, but the services in Socitm that sit behind around those areas, and linking it all up together properly. The other thing we've done, and it's quite odd trying to do this without any headings, the other thing that we've done is we've been very fortunate to have Ian Singleton as our Head of Member Services over the last year. And we recognised that if you look a year ago, we had some shining flagship regions that were very active, had a really good peer networking group, met regularly, really exciting agendas, very active, and we had a number of regions that were really struggling to get the resource and to bring people together and to be able to resource and fund regional meetings. And Ian has been able to work with the regional chairs and secretaries to get a forward plan for every one of our regions, with clear agendas, an opportunity for people to be able to put events in diaries much further ahead, stand a much better chance of getting there, to work with our strategic partners to support those meetings and make them possible. And we've automated much of that through Eventbrite, through feedback, through SurveyMonkey, and just made the experience a whole lot more usable and enjoyable. So I do commend that to you. The other thing that we've done, this is, we're going to have to fix this later on. No, we are going to have to fix this later on. This should say strategic partnership with Knowledge Hub. And what we've done with Socitm very recently, and we're launching today, and an email will go out to all members tomorrow with the links and the opportunity to get involved, is we've recognised that peer networking, peer-to-peer, face-to-face networking can only happen relatively occasionally, because we haven't got the time to do this every day. But what we really needed to do was to build some capability to allow us to do that peer-to-peer discussion and collaboration much more proactively and effectively when we're not together. And so we've launched the Socitm Knowledge Hub, and we've got a number of special interest areas on there, both regionally, Socitm Insights, partnership programme, and a variety of interest areas that will grow over time. And as I say, email will come out on Friday to give you the links through to sign up to that and get involved. One of the particular areas that we've developed in there, if we remember our PSN journey that we've gone on, and if you think back 12 months to when we were here in April last year, we were trying to understand and navigate an environment that was a code of connection compliance in a sort of zero tolerance environment that said do or disconnect, that didn't understand our sector's needs and requirements, wasn't adaptable, wasn't fit for purpose. And it's been really important that we change that. And with your support, I know a year ago we asked you whether you would be willing to contribute to a crowd fund so that if some of us contributed together, we could use those funds to affect change and to support each other better. And a lot of work has been going on in the background, perhaps not quite so visibly, in working directly. So Socitm has worked very closely with the local government association, LGA, and with the Cabinet Office. And the Cabinet Office PSN team moved to GDS. And we started a very different dialogue. We started a good conversation about what were the real issues and what did we need as a sector. And I must say, the PSN team in GDS turned around tremendously and really engaged and wanted to understand very much what we needed. And part of that dialogue created the local government PSN programme board. And within the programme board, we were able to have dialogues with the PSN team, also with health about N3 and IG-SOC and how we bring those areas together. And we've, I think, moved on tremendously in the last year to the point now where the PSN team has created a beta version of a new compliance model which goes live very shortly, and some of you will have been directly involved in testing that code of connection model in beta. And I think that really demonstrates the journey has moved on. But there's much more to do, because when that model goes forward, we need to understand its implications and how best to get the value from PSN and actually its impact on everything else we need to do on a day-to-day basis. So using the crowd funds, we've been able to create a PSN knowledge space, PSN solutions knowledge space, which launches now, and details are just going out. It's open to all. It will be a place where we can share knowledge, develop case studies, disseminate best practice, work with the regions, and help each other to resolve the issues. And it will support the work that the programme board and its task and finish groups, for instance, one at the moment looking at mobile and remote working, focus on. And alongside that, we'll use the crowdfunding to bring in specific expert support, which we're just setting up at the moment, that will be dedicated experienced consultancy support that will be work with the programme board, with the task and finish, with the Socitm regions, and also where capacity allows with individual councils that have really sticky issues. And I do hope that you'll agree as we get those services going that will be good use of the money and valuable to all. We've got a number of Socitm assessment services where we've reframed and renewed some of the things that we do to support you. One in particular that supports that journey I talked about earlier on is the digital maturity assessment, which really helps us understand what state our own authorities and organisations are in their readiness to accept digital change, and what things we need to change in leadership, ownership and structure to help us do that better. And there's a number of other assessment services around ICT service cost, quality and maturity of the ICT service, which are very complementary to that can be taken as a package or individually, which I hope will be very valuable to all. From a research publication side of things, there's two particular ones that are launching. The Flexible Mobile Working publication launches here at conference, and this is really taking a fresh look at the implications and consequences of creating mobile working solutions, and how that's moved on, taking some best case studies from where people have needed to navigate compliance issues and that sort of thing, and they've created solutions that are workable and suitable, and this is an opportunity to share that with us all. The other one on here I think is a really interesting one on that digital journey, because as I mentioned earlier, this idea of having to change our skill set and adapt the way we govern projects to deal with a digital agility that is very iterative, which is very inclusive of the service users, which is this idea of a sort of constant beta state. But to marry that with the discipline that we need for exception reporting, for risks and issues, for highlighting programme issues, for reporting progress with expenditure and all that sort of thing that Prince gives us in a very solid way. And it's quite complex to work out how to bring these two things together. So the research team worked in collaboration with the DSDM consortium, which is a not-for-profit consortium on agile development. and we've done some work to show where the touch points are between those and how you can best use them together, and I absolutely commend that report because it's highly valuable. We've also been producing regularly a number of briefings. The latest one, issue 75, is on demand management. Now this is following on from Solace's report that said doesn't matter how efficient we make local government, we're still not going to make the books balance, and the only way to make the books balance is to do some demand management. And what's ICT's role in enabling that to happen? So a useful report. We have also what we've called the Socitm Interim Service. Just imagine it says Socitm Interim Service. Wonderful. What this is to reframe the way in which we can provide support to us as CIOs and heads of IT when we get short of resources and we need to bring in some expert help. And so you'll see on the website how that pulls together and how you can access urgent, immediate support. And lastly, I would just like to share with you a little video about a new initiative we're doing that's called the Socitm Leadership Academy.
Top Talent is our leadership development program that we run in partnership with the private sector. The program has been running for 3 consecutive years now, and in that time we've seen over 100 graduates and provided over 300 hours of professional coaching. Each year we receive excellent feedback. However, we want to make the same kind of benefits of the Top Talent program available to a much wider audience. So to solve this, we're launching the Socitm Leadership Academy, which encompasses 4 key elements: the Top Talent program itself, an open leadership forum for the public sector, professional coaching as a service, and regular workshops, webinars and events. We're just getting started. To find out more, visit socitm.net/leadership.
So I hope that will be of interest to you. That's really focusing on the professional development side of Socitm's remit and bringing that together in a cohesive way. Any questions you've got on that, don't hesitate to catch me anytime during the day on any of those aspects of how we're changing the society, and any thoughts you have on what more we can do, or come along to the Socitm stand by next to registration desk and talk to Ian Singleton as the Member Services Manager, or Nigel Bragg as the Private Sector Suppliers Manager. Thank you very much.